Welcome back to another couch covered Drell.
Sorry, bro. I tried to get it out first.
All right. Does anyone have any coughs or anything they want to get out before I start the intro?
Okay, I'm done.
Wow, amazing. Welcome back to another couch coverage podcast. We're going to be going over some news and some over and unders and future bets. We're going to start off with Najee Harris. He just injured himself at a 4th of July firework incident. Apparently, several people were injured, and he hurt his eye. Drell, how do you think this is going to affect him if your fantasy trade you just made? You just traded for him not too long ago, and now dude can't even see out of one eye.
I did. Luckily, I'd say I don't think it's going to really affect too much because they did come out saying it was just a superficial injury. I know originally they came out, I think they said like he had lost his eye. Rumor came out, which obviously that would be a big factor if he lost his eye. Although he could be on the field running like a pirate, so that would be pretty cool. But no, yeah, just being the fact that it's superficial, I don't think it's too much. I think I heard like someone lost their finger though, so definitely
Really?
that's
I didn't
sad for
see
them.
that.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
Wow. Well, luckily
Yeah, I
for
think,
Najee Harris, I mean, nobody wants to lose their finger, but when his career is a running back, I mean, you kind of need your fingers in the game.
that is true.
Yeah, I think these teams hate this kind of news when their players are out there doing some kind of extracurricular activity and something like this happens, especially when you just picked them up, and it's like, wow. But one of the I did hear it's supposed to be superficial, but sometimes you wonder, do they sort of hide it a little bit of what's going on, not to scare people, but hopefully it's only superficial, for him
Yeah.
and the team.
Apparently, he'll be fine. His agent said that he will be healed by the time the season comes, so
Yeah.
should be okay. I feel like all these like GMs and stuff are probably so tired of seeing them like with the YouTubers and stuff. You know how they'll go on like streams and all the live podcasts and scared them, like they'll do like basketball matches or one-on-ones, like they're scared they're gonna get injured. They're probably like so tired of all these YouTubers.
Yeah.
Which it makes me wonder, like, it doesn't. I know we're going to be talking about him later, but doesn't like Patrick Mahomes have like certain restrictions in his contract where he's like not allowed to do certain things like on the off season or to put his body at risk because he's so valuable. So I wonder if like more of these things happen, if it's going to be like a standard in like all contracts for players.
Yeah. I wonder if it
Yeah,
just depends how like
interesting.
good you are as well. Like you might have more, flexibility. The better you are, if, the more of a vet you are. If you're new to the league, then I feel like your contract's going to be a little bit more strict where they don't want you doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a huge contract, they probably put more things in there. If you got a rookie contract with a base 4-year contract, it's probably more standard. But yeah, I would assume the bigger players with the, multiple years, multiple $1 million upfront money, they probably is going to start adding more. But there's obviously what they can agree with the players too and the players union.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Next, we will be moving on to the next running back, old retired. Adrian Peterson, about a month ago, got into a fight at the casino about a hand in poker. And now, with the same guy, he just signed a boxing match. They're going to be going ahead and they're going to be boxing it out. This guy, his name is Joe Casadena. I guess his poker name is Baby Joe. That's what they call him. I don't really know who he is, but I guess he's a professional poker player. My opinion, I think it's fake. I think that they set this all up like it's as if it's WWE to get more views for it. I think they were going to do a boxing match right from the get-go because Adrian Peterson's actually in a lot of debt. I don't know if you guys seen that.
No, but
dude's made like $100 million throughout his entire career with the NFL, but he's still in debt. I don't know what do you guys think that's from sports gambling or, I know he has kids, child support.
Well, a lot of these players are just not very good. Some of them are not very good with managing their money. But I did see the video, and it looked sort of realistic. It looked sort of scary that the guys would start hitting on each other at a poker game, But, I definitely do believe at a minimum, they're looking to make a buck off that. And, being it doesn't sound like it's a true hate, let's fight each other kind of thing. It's probably just about trying to get money to probably to pay back some of the debt and everything else. So many people are doing that kind of celebrity boxing nowadays.
Yeah, and it might have not even started out that way. They might have not planned it, but as soon as the incident went viral, I could definitely see them going like, okay, like let's try to rinse this out and make a little bit of money off of this. Because I
Yeah.
mean, this helps the Baby Joe guy. I don't even know who he is. Like I watch a little bit of poker, but I don't really know who he is. So I don't know if I'm just lacking knowledge there.
No, I don't know him
Jarrell,
either.
Jarrell was saying that it's not even the guy that he was playing the poker with. It was his friend, right, Jarrell?
Yeah, like I just recently watched the TMZ interview, and the guy was saying that it was actually another gentleman at the table that was arguing with Peterson, and he wasn't really like the type of guy to stand up for himself, so he clapped back at Peterson, and obviously that's how Peterson reacted, and they started squaring off. But he did also mention that they were friends, that they've known each other a long time, they play poker together a long time, so I could definitely go along with the fact that this might be a whole planned incident, because I mean you got to think that happens, and then you assign a celebrity boxing match that fast. I mean, those things usually are always like held up or going back and forth because this person wants that, this person wants that. So I agree with you. I could definitely see it being a money grab, but I would definitely say if he's in that much debt, he probably should not be out playing poker because he's probably not that good.
Well, that's probably why he is in debt. And listen, to be honest, who is stepping up to Adrian Peterson? You know what I mean? Like Adrian Peterson is a big dude. Like, have you seen him? Retired or not? He's still pretty big.
Yeah, he's pretty solid, dude.
And didn't he have all those
shape
accusations for child abuse or what was it, battery or something? So if you're running your mouth to him, a dude that has that against him, I mean, he probably doesn't have a good temper.
Yeah,
probably 100%. Don't.
I just know I'm not stepping up to Adrian Peterson. I'm like, hey man, you got this hand. Whatever. That's what's going.
Yeah.
All right, next little segment here. Next news: Patrick Mahomes weight gain. So we have a Kansas City radio host. I won't bring up any names, but he was pretty rough with his words. He said that he's fat and he's an embarrassment to all the quarterbacks. Which is, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes here.
Yeah.
He never answered. Mahomes never had clapped back, but I guess his trainer did. His trainer threatened him on a tweet, which is now deleted. That he wants the radio host to come down to himself. I don't know if saying he wants to work out or box it out, whatever they were trying to say with that. But he was basically stating that he would not last a day in their practice. But then the trainer, the radio host clapped back, and he was saying it doesn't matter that we don't need a 6-pack or anything like that. We just don't want to see the gut,
Yeah, I feel like this is pretty much every offseason with him. I think it always comes out with pictures of him having weight gain during the off season, and it's not like he's a skinny dude anyways. I mean, I know he wears a lot of padding on the field, but I always feel like he's got a good amount of weight on him as a quarterback. So I mean, I'm personally not worried about it, but I mean, I would say after that butt whooping in the Super Bowl, I probably wouldn't be out. I'd probably be focusing more in the gym and focusing on getting better in the off season versus letting the weight go. But
that's a really good way of looking at it, though. I mean, he did just lose the Super Bowl. He said they were going to repeat, and obviously they didn't. So coming back and maybe not getting into the gym like you're supposed to be is not really a good look on your team. But I mean, it's a quarterback. No quarterback is going to have a 6-pack. No quarterback's going to be ripped. I mean, look at Big Ben. Big Ben was a big dude, and he did fine for so many years. So I don't even necessarily. I think the radio host, the trainer said it himself, is just looking for attention. Clearly, just wants to get the views in for his show.
Yeah, I think at this time of the year, you hear this conversation every season, every year, and I think it's because they don't have as much to cover. It's off season. They're trying to analyze anything to try to make a story out of it, and I'm sure some of the guys are probably not in their best shape yet. I mean, training camp hasn't started, and some of these players are just never naturally 6-pack type guys. So yeah, I don't take it really too far. I mean, you do see things like the Deebo Samuel's videos, and when people you used to seeing skinnier, But again, I think they wanted to highlight it so much if it wasn't mini camp or something like that, and there's nothing really to talk about. Everyone's trying to figure out different types of stories, so it is interesting. But I'd be more worried if he's 300 pounds on week one. Then
Right.
you get like,
Yeah.
oh,
And
what's going on here? Yeah.
He's Patrick Mahomes, so you have to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. And even with Debo's a wide receiver. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be getting down the field. You're not supposed to be looking slow on routes. I
Mhm.
know he's more of a yards after catch kind of guy, but that doesn't matter. He's obviously exiting his prime here, and now he's trying to go over to the Commanders to hopefully win a Super Bowl over there. But I think the weight and stuff matters a lot more for them skill positions than they do for the quarterbacks. I think the quarterbacks don't. I mean, Joe Burrow is not even ripped, and he looks great. I mean, he just came off of a pretty good season. I
You know,
highly
it,
doubt even Josh Allen has a six pack.
and sort of flip this around. I mean, if you're looking at that, there's a few things I always think about. Like when you talked about Marvin Harrison Jr., it's obvious he bulked up and looks bigger. You see the side by side pictures from last year and this year, and he looks like a gladiator now. But be honest, does that slow him down? Anybody that knows, when you start getting bulkier or bigger muscle, sometimes you get stronger, but your reflexes get slower. You may even slow down sometimes, unless it's your legs or something. So I mean, just because something looks a little off or looks positive, I want to see if Marvin Harrison has picked up speed. Is he doing things more? Is he able to use that strength in a positive way? That's the same issue they're thinking with Mahomes. But is a little bit of weight there going to really slow him down if he is, like his trainer said, in shape, even if he has a little fat on him? If he can breathe good and he can not getting winded? I think that's what people are worried about is, are you going to get winded in a game? But I don't know. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah, I think he's probably also becoming a little bit more of a pocket QB. I know he still
Mm.
does some running around, but I feel I'd say like overall he stays in the pocket more. I'd say this past season than he has previously in trying to run around and create plays. So maybe I don't think he becomes winded as fast, but I think it also depends. Like, man, he's a family man. He's got a wife.
Mm-hmm.
He's got kids at home. It's the off season. He's gone. How much during the regular season? Let the man enjoy. Let him eat some
Yeah.
Taco Bell or some fried chicken. He's gonna get back in shape. I mean, how many? He's an awesome player no matter what. Who cares if you put a little bit of weight on?
Yeah. I mean, that's why they say dad bods, right? You're a dad, you're going to have a little bit of, a dad bod sometimes. And
Exactly.
these
And
guys
this
probably
is
get a dad bod too.
and this is 4th of July we're talking about. So this is like the most American holiday that we can talk about. So dad bod is just it just fits the description there. Like let
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
man
and
enjoy his holiday.
I'm sorry. Anybody that drinks, which he probably was drinking when that picture was taken, your whole body's relaxed. So you got a couple beers in you. You're not caring about anything. So your gut probably even looks a little bit worse than it actually is because you're just like, just hanging it out.
Yeah,
So
that's a very good point.
I'm
Very good point.
surprised they haven't like pulled in the conversation about Taylor Swift and Kelsey and maybe say that he's hanging out with them and eating too good right now, and having too much fun or something like that. Everyone wants to pull in Taylor Swift in the conversation. So that has not came up in this conversation. So that's sort of good because a lot of people don't want to hear it.
All right, we'll move on to the next news here. Um, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's summer roster is going crazy. So right now, there's rumor that he is basically in a romance with Sofia Vergara. Am I saying that right? Vergara. What actress?
Mm,
Known for Modern Family, other stuff growing up.
mm,
Has always been a good-looking actress. But apparently, that's not the only one. So he's been known with seen with Dakota Johnson, another actress. She is the actress in 50 Shades of Grey, also known as, this might be easier for you guys, Madam Web. She was
oh yeah.
the main character in that. Kate Hudson, another actress. We got Brooke Snyder. Apparently, that's a model. And then we got Sydney Sweeney, which you both know, actress for Euphoria, Anyone But You. She's actually also in Madam Web, so maybe he's just going on a cycle on Madam Web here. And then no one's really talking about this, but wasn't there rumors of him with Kim Kardashian during the roast? Does anyone remember that? Like I remember we were watching the roast and Kim Kardashian was there, and they were rumored to have a romance as well.
I do remember something about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
This
think
man is just
he reminds me of a true like a movie star. Movie stars that are single, always, especially if they're good looking guys, they have this reputation of being some kind of woman's man, and he's definitely feels the same way. He's like not just a football player. He's definitely at that superstar status, and I could see him dating all these women. I'm sure there's rumors. Some of them may be, exaggerated, but from what I hear, he really does go out and date and hang out and do a lot. So, I mean, I guess you have the options like him, go for it, you know?
Right. I don't think his plan, obviously, after retirement was to do stuff like this. I think he wanted you know, the marriage life, but it obviously didn't pan out as him and,
Yeah.
his ex-wife didn't, really work out. So I think now that he's like, well, since I'm single, might as well just, might as well live it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could,
like I saw the pictures with Dakota and Kate Hudson on the boat together. I didn't hear anything specifically like they were, tied together as like dating. I did hear for about Sophia. I just find it interesting with Sophia. I mean, yes, she's definitely a beautiful woman, but her age being 53, I do feel like that's a little bit older than usually the age range that he's been going for, been seen with lately. So I kind of find that's interesting, for him to be more tied to like a summer romance to her versus these other young ladies and whatnot. But the way she looks, I wouldn't care about her age either. So good for
it's
him.
honestly,
He's he's doing the
it's
Playboy life for sure.
right. And it's honestly more age appropriate for him anyways, because he's 47, So, I mean, this is probably the closest in age he's been with any of these chicks. I don't know how old Kate Hudson is, but she's not late 40s, is she?
Honestly, I don't know. I
Mm.
can look. Like I know the Dakota Johnson, I think is like in her 30s. Let me look for
Yeah.
Kate Hudson.
She's
Oh, she's
46.
46. Yeah.
Actually, that's actually probably the most age appropriate one. I mean, that's only a year younger than Brady.
So good for him, man.
Yeah,
That's
I know they I think that's the problem too. Is anytime you see anybody, and from what I understand, this was during the Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder's wedding. A lot of big name celebrities there hanging out and doing things. So that's where the photographs came from. And I know both reps have denied it that they're dating, and of course that doesn't always mean anything. But it's like anybody that's hangs out with them or gets a photo, if they're a woman, probably will be tied to him, and that's probably the issue he's going to face, because it may even affect people that if he is trying to date somebody and they're like, "Oh, I saw you hanging out with Sophia." No, it wasn't nothing. They may not believe it because the media jumps on it. So that would be different from you and I. Nobody follows us around. If we're single dating people, you don't have that kind of attention where it's going to affect your relationships. And uh, for a guy that's a good looking guy with a lot of fame, it's probably a challenge.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's definitely moving in the summer. He's having a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
To touch base on it, I know it's a totally different situation, but like with the pictures and how people or the media rather kind of make stuff out of it, it's funny that you say that because I just saw an interview the other day with Scarlett Johansson's husband, and I guess because they were going around doing the movies, she what's his name, Colin Joyce, I think. They're talking to him about how he feels how Scarlett Johansson was going around and kissing the guy from Jurassic Park during like the media tour. Like she kept
Mm.
going up and greeting him and like kissing him, and they're like, "Oh, how do you feel about her?" And he's like, "Dude, he's an openly gay man. Like, why? I wouldn't have to worry about that in like the least. Why are you guys trying to make a story out of this?" And he's like, the only thing is like we were texting the other day, and he's like, "Well, I guess we have to kiss now." So there's a story, but it's just like it's funny how like the media can take things like that just because it's a picture or a reaction and try to make a
Mm.
story out of it or try to make drama per se, but it's like it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
media definitely overreacts. It's just, celebrity woman with a celebrity football player, so they obviously they're going to talk about it, which makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
and everything's based. Everything's big on social media. We live in that society with like the TMZ type, environment where hosts and stuff get people. So it's funny how many like fake things are posted out there because they know they can get the views. People are going to look at it, and it's all about getting the views and getting the likes and all that kind of stuff.
100%. All right, we will move on All right. This next segment we're going to be going into today are future bets, notable future bets. So me and Jarrell here, we have each picked three: a quarterback, a wide receiver, and a running back, and we're going to talk about them, what we like, over, under, what we don't like about it. Let's get into it. So the first one that I have, I'm going to go ahead and start it off here. I have Lamar Jackson, quarterback, over under 3,450 passing yards. Now, I find this one a little bit interesting because, I mean, he just came off of a, 4,200 season last year? That's like a 700 yard season, like a 700 yard difference. He's done it the last 2 seasons. Last 2 years, he's done it. There were some years that he was injured where he only played 12 games. 2019 and 2021, he didn't do it, but he was on pace to beat 3,450 passing yards. 2019, he would have had 3,594. 2021, over 4,000. The only years that he wouldn't have got it was both 2022 and 2020. He was not on pace to beat it. His rookie year doesn't really count as he was under Joe Flacco for most of the season. But what do you guys think? Do you think Lamar Jackson is due to be over 3,450 passing yards for the third year in a row?
I would say yes. Because he's definitely over the last 2 years, he's become more of that pocket presence. I mean, he still does, obviously, he pull the ball and run and hand it off to Derrick Henry, but I feel like they didn't use Henry as much as they probably could. That they are more of like a pass heavier team recently. So I feel like he'll beat it this season again. I think he'll beat it for a third year in a row, as long as he stays healthy. Obviously, as long as there's no injuries or no unforeseen. But I would take the over on it personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would take the over too. I do think this line is a little small. I know he is a mobile quarterback, so maybe that's why the sportsbook has it like that listed. But and just in my debate, like he is just built to pass. Like, I mean, if you even look at his division, the AFC North, like, I mean, that the Browns, the Cincinnati, and the I'm blanking here, Browns, Cincinnati, and the Steelers. Like, those are always such high scoring games. I feel like with the Ravens, like whenever the Ravens play them, like especially the freaking Cincinnati, like they verse them twice a year. So that's
Yeah.
alone, with just that being a high scoring game, they're going to be probably passing the ball a lot. They verse all those teams twice a year, and then if you look at the rest of their schedule, they have the 21st strength of schedule. So with that being stated, that these could be a lot of high scoring games or defensive games, you just never know. But they verse some notable ones: the Bills, the Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Rams, Miami Dolphins, Minnesota Vikings, and then the Packers. Again, I feel like those could all be high scoring games where they are going to be throwing the ball a lot, no matter how good that defense is. And if they don't have like anyone leaving, like they have the same team as last year, basically offensively. They picked up a few new people. They picked up LaJohntay Wester in the draft, DeAndre Hopkins, and free agency. They've really only lost, if you look at their weapon, like the skill position wise, Nelson Aguilar. That's really, and I mean, that's not like going to be a big matchup. So I think that Lamar Jackson should beat this technically well over 3,400 yards.
Yeah, especially if they're playing like from behind for any reason. Obviously it's going to be a more of a passing game because they're trying to catch up. So I agree. What were you going to say, Shane?
No, I was just going to say I don't see anything that shows me it's going to be different from the last couple of years. I mean, you have the same offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. There's been an uptick in passing since he came in. So he's been over on this each year. So I don't see anything that suggests. I think the strongest indicators is that he's going to be over in this bet for sure.
Right. As long as he's injury free. That's, in my
Yes,
opinion, that's
yes.
as long if he plays an entire season and he does his 400 passing attempts or whatever, I think that he's breaking this for sure.
Yeah. Injury will mess any of these up. It's that's part of why it's probably a little lower, because he may lose a game or two because of injury, and so they can't put it as high or nobody will take the bet. So yeah,
That's true. All right, we will move on. We're going to move on to the next quarterback. Go ahead, Jarrell.
All right, we're doing Sam Darnold for my first pick here. I did Sam Darnold's touchdowns. They had him at either over or under 20.5 for the season. Looking up his stats, he pretty much has only beat that like last season. His average for season-wise is way under. Now, granted, no one expected him to come out and did what he did last season in Minnesota. Now he's on the new team with Seattle. He has a lot of good weapons though. He's got JSN, he's got Cup, he's got MVS, he's got Fant in a tight end. So I do feel like as long as he is the starter, that he'll beat this mark. I think he'll go over the 20.5 touchdowns. He's got the weapons, the new team. He showed last year that he's definitely capable of doing it. So I personally will go with the over on the 20.5.
Yeah, I found this line to be very interesting when you actually sent me this line, and was doing a little bit of research. I feel like this one is actually harder than you think, because if we look at 20.5, he should mollywop that based off of last year. What did he have last year? He had a lot. It was like 38 or something like that. He had a lot of
Yeah,
passing
35,
touchdowns last
38.
year. And but if you look at his past years, like you said, then he's had like 7 or 4 because he was a backup or just doesn't doing that well. Like he was on a crappy team like the Panthers. So I think this line is very interesting. The thing that catches me the most, that I would probably agree on the over, because the line is just so low. Like this is a very low line, I feel like, for a quarterback with a good team. Last year he was the 8th most in the league of passing attempts with 545. So obviously he is passing the ball a lot to be able to do what he did last year, passing touchdowns. But to be fair, Geno Smith threw for actually more. He was like the 4th most with 578 passing attempts. So if that streak
Okay.
is going to continue over from Minnesota to over to the Seahawks, I feel like he's going to be fine and he could be able to blow this out of the water, even if they're just a mid team. I mean, mid teams still score touchdowns. So I still think that 20.5 is just a little too low for Sam Darnold. I'm not even in on Sam Darnold in the year, but 20.5 is too low. I would take the over as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shane,
I
you,
remember when like nobody was in on him last year when I picked him up in fantasy, and then he ended up being my dark horse. So
yeah,
it was a
we
good
were
management.
roasting you for that pick, and
Yeah,
then it ended up being fine.
Yeah. What's the line on that again? You just said.
20.5.
So basically, he
Yeah.
has to score 21 touchdowns or under for 20.
Yeah. That's a tough one too, because um, I could see people looking at both ways, because most of his seasons besides last year, he could have lost on that one. And yes, he did play on teams that were struggling. Um, but last year a lot of people look was an outlier, and we don't know yet. Like if he was on the same team again, I think you would say, "Oh, I think this is definitely achievable." But being on a new team, even though it's they got quality players, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure I'd even be comfortable with that bet, to be honest. It's one of those that I'm not sure which way it will go. I think he could easily do it, but then I can also see him going back and having maybe a more of a common season what he's done before. So yeah, I think what Zach said is a definitely interesting bet. Um, I'm not sure where what I would do in this case.
It's for sure scary. That's why out of all the ones we have, I think this one is the most debatable one that you could say. Because if we're talking about strictly off last year, he should way outdo this line. Like this should be easy for him. But if you look at his entire career, which is like what 8 or 9 seasons, like he's been playing for a minute now, it's he hasn't done it. He hasn't. There's many years he didn't even come close. So I
Mhm.
feel like if he goes back to his old self, then you might be screwed on taking that one.
Yeah, which I think because I looked it up again real quick. Like, so I think like the last time he was technically like a starter and playing like long enough to even get close was 2019 with the Jets, and he only got 19 touchdowns. And the year before he had 17 with the Jets. So even that's like the closest he's been. Every other time he's been under 10 for the season, but he's been a backup a majority of those times. So with last year and the fact that he was a starter and he had those better receivers, you can't really take a season with the Jets. No offense to the Jets, but you
Yeah.
can't really, take them and be like, oh, this is the caliber quarterback you have. So 19 with the Jets being close this year with the receivers he has, new team Seattle, like you had mentioned, obviously they are a pass heavy team as well. Uh, I'd say he'd make it.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next topic. I don't even like the Seahawks running backs. I'm not in on Kenneth Walker. I know this is kind of like his break or make year. I don't really like him that much. I think Zach Charbonnet is just probably just a little too small. So I think they're always in where they have to pass the ball because they're always behind, it seems like, and they're always playing catch up, in my opinion, unless they're versing, just the bottom tier teams. So I really do think that this line. The fact that this line is so low is the reason why he'll hit it. Like he could have, I don't think he can even have like a great year, but he could still hit this line if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because if you research what other people are saying about this bet, it's one of the trickier ones. Because I know when I looked it up, like PFF, they have him projected to get like 22, 23 touchdowns, so that would be over, you know. But then when you looked at FanDuel, they have him listed odds of going over that line under, so slightly under. So they projected him not to do it. So when you look at some of the very big common sites that people would go to, they're definitely different. So yeah, I think that's good. This is definitely a tougher one to pick. Yeah,
A lot of mixed feelings on that one.
yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll move on here. We'll go over to we will do wide receivers now. All right, I will start it off. This next one, I wanted to put my entire life savings on this one because I find this one to be crazy. They got Mike Evans at 925 and a half yards over and under. This dude has been in the league for 10 seasons, and he has yet once to go over under 1,000, and they have him at 925. I feel like this is disrespectful. I think that's very disrespectful to Mike Evans. Now, they do have it at negative 140, so the books obviously are leaning towards it a little bit more than the other ones, where the other ones are sitting at like negative 115. You know what I'm saying? But 925 is just way too low, in my opinion, for Mike Evans. I don't care about the new addition of the wide receiver they just picked up. Mike Evans is going to be the wide receiver one on that team. Baker Mayfield and his team wants this record to keep going. We saw last year at the last game where they were like rushing up there. They're trying to get Mike. They were well ahead. They're trying to get Mike Evans the ball so he can get over 1,000 yards. They want to keep the streak going, and I believe this streak will continue going. What do you guys think?
Shane, you want to go first this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do. I love Mike Evans. I mean, he seems like a Tom Brady type, keeps going and keeps going. And but I know from when I looked at this kind of stuff before for betting, they do look at things like age and the possibility of him missing a game or two, even though that hasn't totally affected him in the past, getting 1,000 yards. But I think because of he's another year older, and they believe it's a possible he could miss 2 or 3 games, that he may miss that mark slightly. But I'm with you. I feel like he's going to probably get that 1,000 yards until he retires. But I understand when you're getting up in age, they're going to worry about it for betting, you know. But he does have a good chemistry with Baker Mayfield. I don't know if the new rookie and stuff will pull from some of the receiving yards, but yeah, that's a tough one because he's so good.
For me, how I view it, Mike Evans is like the Derrick Henry of wide receivers, if that makes sense. I think this dude is going to play till he's 80. I think it's the better, because every year we always talk about, they're getting older, they're going to have a decline year. I don't even think you should worry about that. I think you should keep taking the bet on Mike Evans and players like Derrick Henry until they literally just don't do it. Fantasy, sports betting, whatever it is, I just think Mike Evans he's going to beat 925, and 925 is wiggle room, to my opinion, because the goal is to get 1,000 for him. They want to get to 1K, so that's like that's a big wiggle room from 925 to 1,000. I feel like that this is a clear over, in my opinion. I feel like the books are probably going to raise this.
Well, you know, I do see that. I wonder, and people talk about this with betting. I don't know if he pays attention to this kind of stuff or if it's part of his, group that talks about it. But he always has a line that's lower than he thinks, and it's like people expect, and he's constantly beat that line every year. And does this motivate him? Does it motivate him to beat what people say you can't do? I think it does. I think he generally doesn't like the talk that you're getting older, you're not going to be able to do as much, and it motivates him, and he just consistently beats it. So, I would think with the history, I would want to go over,
Right.
than under. I bet on him.
It's just crazy of how well of a career Mike Evans has had, and he's still considered underrated to like sports books, fantasy players. I mean, even year in fantasy, he drops in the draft where he's not even he might be a 3rd round pick, and in the draft he's going 4th or 5th. Like, why is that happening? Like, he is a great player. He's clearly the wide receiver one there, even with Chris Godwin. I mean, Godwin's an inconsistent. He's injury prone. Like, he's always in and out of being hurt, and I feel like Baker could support two wide receivers. We've seen him do it last year. Mike Evans 925. This is a no brainer. I'm easily taking the over.
Yeah, I agree. I see that there's no way that he does not hit it. Like you said, there's tons of wiggle room there. The only thing I could think is that maybe because like the rookie came in and you got Chris Godwin coming back from the injury, so maybe they're expecting Baker to be almost like required or expected to kind of spread the ball around a little bit more. But I feel no matter what Mike Evans, like he's hit it every single year, no matter what wide receiver group he's been paired with. He's just very consistent. He's always there. He's the man. Like you said, he's wide receiver number one. I would put my life savings
no matter his quarterback. No matter his quarterback.
Yeah,
too.
no matter his quarterback, he's always hitting. Very true.
He's had what? Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon was one of his quarterbacks before. I mean, that's a crazy name to pull off to the top of the dome. And he did it with them for 1,000 yards. And even if you do want to talk about maybe a little bit of injury with him, and just looking here, he has missed some games on some seasons. Last year was actually the least amount of games he's played. He played only 14 games last year, and he barely got over to 1,000. But again, if he barely gets 1,000, you're going to hit the 925 very comfortably. You see what I'm saying? So even if he does misses a few games, he should be able to still hit 925 as long as he doesn't take a major injury. I think that this is a no brainer.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could hurt him is if he misses too many games, and also if Godwin stays healthy, which generally hasn't, and Ibuka takes a whole big amount of the shares of the receiving yards. That's if we look back at after the season and he doesn't beat this line, that's probably what's going to cause it. I don't see any other way for it not to beat it.
Well, they have Otten, who's picked up his skill too, so
True.
that might be a factor. But I still don't think I don't think there's any way that he does not hit it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll move on here. We'll go to the next receiver that Darrell has. Let's go ahead.
All right, so this one is quite interesting. I decided to go with CeeDee Lamb's reception yards. Now, they have him at under 1,200 and a half yards for the season. So I was actually looking at his past accomplishments. He's actually only been over that number 2 out of his 5 seasons that he's played with the Cowboys. So that right there is already not good odds. And then they're adding in George Pickens this year, and we all know he and his play style and how he wants the ball. I don't see there's any way that CeeDee Lamb hits that this season. I just don't, because he's going to be sharing the ball with another big name on the field.
You're taking the under.
I'm taking the under. I'm saying he's going to go over the 1,200 yards this season. Like I said, man, 2 out of the last 5 seasons is the only time he's hit it. Right, there are bad odds. You're adding another, what possibly could be a number 1 receiver on your team who's loud, vocal, wants the ball, is going to demand the ball. He's not going to come in and take second seat. I think he's going to come in and know that he is wide receiver number 2, but as the season goes on, I could see him starting to act out and say that he wants the ball more. So I don't see CeeDee Lamb hitting this number this season.
I'm going to be honest. I actually disagree with you. I think that he can't hit this one. Now, this line is definitely another one that's kind of hard to, look at. But he has only done it 2 out of 5 times. You are correct. Last year, though, he was only 7 yards off of beating this line, and he missed 2 games. And one of them was because he was injured, but I think it's because he was trying to get that contract extension. I don't know if you guys remember, at the end of the year, they ended up benching him. So, realistically, 7 yards, that's 1 catch for him. I would even just count it that he would have probably just got it last year if he never even sat out that last game. I think a big thing on this line, though, is if Dak is healthy. If Dak is playing, he tends to do it. When Dak's in, they usually just throw the ball. I don't think that the Cowboys did a really good job at the running back room. I mean, they did pick up some rookies, and then they did pick up Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. But, I mean, honestly, Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams is so below tier. I don't see them as any threat. Jaden Blue, I'm not in on him, the rookie. I don't know why everyone likes him, but everyone's so in on Jaden Blue. I'm just not as that deep into on him. And I don't think George Pickens is really a wide receiver 1 threat. I mean, I do think that George Pickens is a good receiver. And don't get me wrong, he will get the ball when CeeDee Lamb is supposed to get the ball. But I think that this team needs to base the game plan off of CeeDee Lamb. When it didn't work last year, but Dak missed a lot of the games. But the year before that, their offense was very well. They did really good, and a lot of that was around CeeDee Lamb himself. He's obviously their best player. So I think 1,200 is a little bit of a high line, but I think that he will beat it this year. Now, would I be willing to bet on it? Probably not. So in that aspect, I guess I would agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would generally lean to over, but I think what Zach said was the key to it is I think it's tied directly to what Dak does. And does Dak stay healthy? Does he have a season where he performs like he can? Um, if he doesn't, I mean, that I think it could hurt him. I agree with you. I think CC Lamb is definitely the alpha receiver over there. I don't know if
CC.
anybody. I mean, CC Lamb. CC Lamb is the alpha, and
CD.
CD. Why do I always say CD? CC. I think that was Bailey that got me saying that. Remember Bailey said that before. CD Lamb is definitely the alpha, and I don't think Pickens is going to come in and take that much. I'm not sold that he's really the receiver that's going to like be the split number one. CD Lamb is definitely going to get most of the share of the catches, but I really think it's more up to what Dak does, and he's been the problem for the Cowboys is does he stay healthy? Does he perform like he's supposed to? He's going to throw a lot if he's out there. And so all the receivers can get it. So I would slightly lean to like over on this, but like you said, it may be, I'm not so sold on Dak. So I don't know if I would take the bet, but if you were forcing me, I would probably say over.
Yeah, so that's the problem. I feel like this is the same conversation like every year. It's always tied to Dak, and I still have no clue why Dallas has not moved on from Dak because every season it's like, oh,
Thank you.
Dak's healthy, he looks good. Man has the capability to be a good quarterback, but he's either just choking in the game or all of a sudden I guess choking turns into crappy Dak there, but he just doesn't not have the consistency. Oh my gosh, now I can't talk. He doesn't have the consistency to stay a very good quarterback, and I think that's going to hurt them. And if you're saying Pickens isn't as much of a threat as CD, obviously defenses are going to target CD now more, which they always have anyways. But like I said, he's an awesome player. He always gets open. He does his routes very well. He has good cuts, but maybe they'll pay more attention to him and less attention to Pickens. Or maybe it will be more advantageous for him and they'll pay more attention to Pickens and it'll allow CD to get open more. But if it's all relying on Dak, I wouldn't put any faith in that man personally.
I think it's going to be more of a Pickens thing, might steal some touchdowns from CeeDee Lamb because I think that they're kind of just two different players. They all line CeeDee Lamb up in the slot, so he's a lot closer to the quarterback. I think that Pickens is going to play a lot of the outside. And because, I mean, he has the hands, man. Like, how many times do we see the Steelers just throw the ball up to him and he'll just catch it? Like, such amazing catches. So I think that's going to happen a lot where if they're stuck in like a tricky 3rd and 14 or something like that, they might just try to toss him up the ball if they see man on man or something like that. When they get closer to the red zone, even on the goal line, they might just toss him the ball and see if he can beat his man. So touchdown wise, he might affect CeeDee Lamb, but I don't think he'll affect CeeDee Lamb a lot of the yardage. Because again, the game plan is to give him the ball. They're going to throw him screen passes. They're going to make sure that he gets open, and they want him to run with it and try to score touchdowns that way. So, but I definitely agree with you with the Dak thing. I think that Dak is a stat quarterback. I don't think Dak is going to win you the Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to win you playoff games. He might beat up on the good team. The Cowboys always do that. How many times have they run up the score and they're winning 50 to like 13 against the crappiest teams, and everyone's always overhyping them, saying, "Oh, that's the Cowboys' year." It's not the Cowboys' year. You're beating up on good teams. You're struggling with the good. You're beating up on bad teams, struggling with the good ones. I agree. I think that they should have moved on from Dak, and I think that contract extension they just gave him was a huge mistake.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, let me ask you. Obviously, he 2 years ago he had a dominated season. Almost 1,800 yards. Last year it dipped. He played 15 games, didn't make the 1,200 yards. If he plays a full 17 games, do you think that's an automatic over?
I think so.
I would probably. Ooh.
Well, is
I'd have to
Dak
say no
playing
because
too?
I'm not taking this line, so I would have to still say no.
Well, I think, I think that's where I fall if I was going to take this line. Do I think he's going to play more than 15 games like last year? Does he play a full season? If I could know that, if I knew he was going to stay healthy, I would take it. I think he could have over that. But being that he may miss a game or two or three games, I don't know. With the Dak situation, it's an unknown because. But I think, yeah, if you knew, if you had that kind of uh, you know, a vision in the future that he was going to play 17, it would be a lot easier. I think knowing that he only had 15 last year and he dropped way down, that scares people, I would think. But it's close.
Yeah, although I
All
saw
right.
a video the other day of Joe Milton, backup QB,
Yeah.
dropping dimes. Now, granted, that's just in practice, so maybe Dak going out might not be, the worst thing for them if he does, or they switch him out. Joe Milton might come in and surprise everybody. So
I
The
think the
fun.
Cowboys are very aware of the Dak situation. Like they
Yeah.
signed him a contract extension, and maybe there's a little regret, maybe not. But I think that's why they traded for Joe Milton. I mean, he was doing good. He did decent for against really backups. But I mean, that's he was a rookie last year. So how high are the expectations? He's like a seventh round pick. He's really late. So I think that the Cowboys traded for him because it was cheap and they like him. And now I think this kind of puts Dak a little bit on the hot seat and like, hey man, we need you to step up. We need you to stay healthy and we don't need 50 something points against these crappy teams. Like we need you to win in the postseason. Like we need some playoff wins and maybe even get us to the NFC Championship. Like we need a little bit more than what has been going on with this offense. And if I'm being honest, there's no excuse. They have the weapons this year, realistically, besides the running back, in my opinion. But overall, they have a lot of weapons. So I think that the Cowboys kind of have it's like kind of like a make or break year for them. All right. Okay, we'll move on to the last one we got here. Then, go ahead, Jarrell.
all right, so my last one that I did, I went with Jonathan Taylor's rushing yards for the season. They have him at over or under 1,200 and a half yards. So very similar to CD on his reception yards, but rushing yards, which is funny because Taylor's also only completed this 2 out of his 5 seasons that he's played as well. But I know his main concern is injuries. So it was hard. I would probably take the over on it, hoping that he stays healthy the whole season because if he does, there's no way that he doesn't hit it. But if he gets hurt, obviously that's out the window. Because if you look back, like this past season, he had like over 300 rushing attempts. A couple seasons before that, he had like 170, 190, and then the season before that, he had over 300 again. And those are the 2 seasons that he hit it. So as long as he can get over the 300 attempts, he's gonna make it. There's no reason why he won't. Especially with Richardson at quarterback and his injury prone as well. He gets hurt, backup quarterback in. They're tending to hand the ball off more. So if he's healthy, he's hitting it. But if I had to pick right now, I would say the over, betting on the fact that he would stay healthy.
Yeah, I like this line. This is not one of the bad ones. I think that skill level wise, Jonathan Taylor is should crush 1,200. He's only again he's is on injury prone. He has only played one season, full season, and but during that season was 2021. He was the rushing leader, the fantasy leader, and the touchdown leader for rushing. Um, that was obviously his breakout year, his legacy year, you could say. But I think that they just need to do a better job protecting him. I think that they rely on him too much. Like I do think that he needs to get to 300 attempts, but maybe 400 attempts is too much. I mean, at the end of the year, there we saw where they were giving him the ball like 30 times a game. Like that cannot be your game plan. You can't be giving it. Now, will he get the yardage with that many carries? Yes, but now the injury risk is a lot higher.
Right.
And what really scares me is that a lot of his like damage is the right leg. So it's been consistently with the same leg, even no matter if it's a different injury, it's all in the same leg. So I feel like his injury risk is a little higher. So that definitely scares me. But I think Jonathan Taylor is easily a top 5, maybe even top 3 running back in the NFL. So I think 1,200 should be pretty easy for him to go over. So I agree. I would take the over as well.
Yeah. I don't have a long answer. I sort of agree with you guys. I think it's, his projections are good. It's just really staying healthy. You know, these kind of players that have injury history is always a little scary when you're talking about fantasy or for betting. You know, because that's the one fear that you have is that they have the capability to do this, but are they going to stay healthy and be able to do it? So yeah, but I still would go with you guys. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, even just like his quarterback situation is pretty crappy. I don't believe in Anthony Richardson. I don't care what anyone says. I think that's why they brought in Daniel Jones. They even drafted Riley Leonard in the draft. I think Anthony Richardson. Right now, they don't have it listed who will be the starter. The coach has not came out. They said it's going to be either him or Daniel Jones. But let's be real, it'll probably be Anthony Richardson. I don't think anyone's game plan is to want to start Daniel Jones and try to win like that. But I don't know. I just haven't seen enough from AR, and I don't think he's had some moments, but I don't think he's going to be consistent. I think he will end up being a bust, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in Daniel Jones. I know they brought him in as backup, and I saw that they hadn't released who the starter was as well. But I do agree that it's going to be Richardson. But I don't have a complete faith with him either, just due to his injuries. But I do feel like he's definitely the better quarterback choice out of the two, and I feel like he would be able to take more of that injury risk as long as he still stays healthy. I feel like he would be able to keep the injury risk off of Taylor because of his mobility and his passing capability. But he's got to stay healthy as well.
Yeah, 100%. I do agree on that. AR stays healthy, then I think it's less for Jonathan Taylor, which might be better. I think he could get the yardage within, the attempts. It's just you can't run him 30 times a game. You just can't do that. That can't be the game plan. You don't win games like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Anthony's tough for that. He's just, it's hard because he's had limited play. He's struggled, especially with pass completions. I mean, last year he was like 47.7% in 11 games. So between that, I definitely would have to lean under on that one at this point. Too many unknowns.
Oh, you're leaning under. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a respectable answer. I think both ways are respectable, in my opinion. Like, if you look at his skill, I feel like skill level, he should be able to do it. But if you look at his injury risk, he might not be able to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those that has the talent. He should be able to do it. He just hasn't shown it yet. Maybe this will be his year. I don't know.
It's funny how they come up with these lines, though, because it is so, like debatable. It's like who the algorithm or whatever that comes up with it knows, like, hey, let's because it could go either way. On any of these players, it could go any way. So except for Evans, there's no way that he's not getting that one. But it's just funny to see the numbers.
The Evans one had me in shock. Like, I think at least be respectable and at least have it at 1,000. You know what I mean? Like, that's like at least saying, okay, will he continue the streak or not? But 925 is well below 1,000 in my opinion. Like, I feel like he could miss a couple games and still be well over that.